Derrick, do you ken where the poem comes frae?
Well, the very earliest text is some fragments, just some wee carnies out on the Rivell Cross. That's in Northumbrian Anglo Saxon. That is late 7th century. But the poem, as I read it, is a later version in West Saxon, maybe 100 years later. You couldn't read the whole of the poem for the Rivell Cross. It's just a few lines.
Mm-hmm. So we didn't hear the whole thing
in the
Northumbrian form.
In its original Northumbrian.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Was the poem yin that folk kent about when you were a student?
Aye. I had to read it myself as a student.
Right, so they did learn folk in the colleges and universities at the time.
Aye.
It's quite interesting. Would you say that more could be done to claim this as part of Scotland's heritage?
You hate to say, it's like the Godothan, it's special pleading to claim it for Scotland, because when this poem was screeved, there was a kingdom of the Scots, but it didn't include the Anglo-Saxon speaking parts in the south. See, the poem was likely screeved in what appeared to what's New Scotland, but it wasn't then. See, we can claim it as an early poem, in fact the earliest poem in the formal Anglo-Saxon and Northumbrian that gied rise to Scots, but actually you hate to say it was no more written in Scotland than it was written in what we knew ken as Scots. But it's still the Rivell Cross. It's certainly in Scotland, and the poem itself, as far as we can tell, was screeved, let's say, north of the Tweed. Say to that extent we can claim it.
Mm-hmm. Does the Rivell Cross hae anything to offer students spearing out the history of Scots today?
You can see, well, the very, very earliest example of the dialect of Anglo-Saxon that gied rise to Scots, but it was a long time. It's Scots. The first really Muggle text in Scots is Barbara's Bruce, you ken, and that's 700 year later. There are a long gap where we can't find out muckle about who Northumbrian Anglo-Saxon changed and developed and gied rise to the Scots we ken for the 14th year onward.
Mm-hmm. What was your ain thoughts when you first seen the cross with your ain een?
It's a magnificent monument, no doubt about it. It's difficult to see, to make out all the carvings, but you can see that it's elaborately, very impressively carved. There's no just the words. There's pictorial carvings and all. It's certainly worth going to see, and it's beautifully displayed in the wee kirk at Rivell in Dumfries. It's doon a blow the flare that's built through as again the kirk had been built through about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think the time has come for Scots to be taught at all levels as a subject in its own recht, with its own degree, maybe?
Oh, aye, no doubt about that. Aye, Scots, it's the history of the Lead, the history of the literature, the importance of the Lead in the history of the culture of the whole nation, the fact that some of our greatest poems in the medieval period, the 1800, the modern times, screeved in the Scots tongue. Aye, it's long past time that it was taught at all levels, primary, secondary, college, university.